What is happening, everyone? I have been looking forward to doing this update at my car wash and doing this video for y'all. This unit right here is what's called a triple foam conditioner unit. Inside the car wash bay, you'll have a gun like this and it'll spray colorful foam conditioner at the end of your wash, kind of like a wax, like a pre-wax. And it makes for a great show and everything. And I finally found a unit that was very reasonably priced. Also has 4 bays, so you can see it's labeled. There's 4 solenoids for air, 4 solenoids for, well, that's actually air, and this is for the soap side. But then it has 3 different colors. So you can see this one they had pink in, that one they had yellow, this one they probably had blue, and then you got your 3 different tanks. And I got this used, obviously, but I got a great deal on it. I'm gonna get into how much I paid for it in this video, and we're gonna go over the installation and dial everything in so we can have an amazing show inside each car wash bay. I've also got some tips. We're gonna mess around with different tips probably to get a great fan of colorful foam. And then this is other stuff I need. That's like a foam brush, you know, holsters for the bays. There's some mat clamps, some swivels, and I've got other stuff out at my car wash. So let's get this thing out to the car wash and get started on this project. First thing I'm gonna do, because this is a used unit, as you can see, and he told me about this when he shipped them. He took these hydrominders, is what these are called. They control the level of soap and they mix together soap. It goes through this side right here, and then water comes in on this side and it mixes it and gets your dilutions right and everything. But when he took them off, these bolts were not stainless steel, and so they've rusted and they broke off. So I'm gonna have to drill those out, get my extractor out. I also want to replace some fittings in here just because I don't want to have a colorful foamy soap mess inside my equipment room. I kind of take pride in how clean I keep that. I'll show you in a minute. And then it looks like these gauges both need replaced as well. So I'm going to replace a couple parts first on this before I get it mounted up. So let's head off to the hardware store. Your Home Depots and Lowe's are not going to have all the different sizes and fittings you're going to need. I've got a good industrial hardware store I found locally that has them. Otherwise, like a House of Hose or Last Resort is online for all these different things. I laid this out and it almost looks like I performed a surgery of sorts. Now here's all the carnage. All regulators got replaced. Really, this was the only broken one, but I wanted to have everything, all of those replaced so it's easy to dial in. Push lock fittings, I wanted new seals on, so I've got them all replaced. And some rusted bolts. I retaped up a few of the spots. I put in new push locks for there and put in a new hose. I replaced these hoses. This is the feed hose, this is the outlet. And then back here, I ended up having to drill out. This is probably the most difficult part about the process was drilling these out and retapping them. Some of them are just a little bit loose because of that, so I'm gonna use Loctite, putting the hydrominders on there. I put anti-seize on these because I couldn't find them in stainless, but should work. Now I really wanted to put this on the wall right underneath my stairs right here. I knew it was gonna be a tight fit, but ultimately it's in the way of the door a bit. And I even looked at maybe hacksawing this in half and putting the tanks on one side and the control panel on the other, but it's just not working. So as you can see, the plumbing is gonna come down and across, and it's gonna go up above that sink over there. I've got the plumbing roughed in right here. So it's ready to go, and we're gonna get things mounted up here in a bit. And just like that, we got this thing hard surface mounted up on the wall. Obviously, I had a little bit of help there because it is a beast, but it's all leveled out and everything. And now it's a little bit easier for me to show you, give you a tour of what's going on here, how are we getting the foam, and where do all these things go. So on this side, you have your air side solenoids, which I mentioned earlier. In order to get a really good foaming action, you gotta have air. It's not just water and soap. So you gotta have those bubbles, those suds, right? Then you have a regulator that controls how much air is going in there. This other regulator right here controls this pump. So it's a pneumatic pump. It's not like some people would assume an electric pump. That's pretty common in car washes to use pneumatic pumps. Then you got your product side solenoids, which, you know, that's self-explanatory. You got your different colors that go in there and your regulator to control that. This unit right here actually reads 307 hours on the control panel. So hopefully I'm gonna be getting 307 hours plus out of it, much more hopefully. And then up here, let's go upstairs. You got your solenoids off of each colored tank. So no single solenoid will be running at the same time. They will alternate in between, and that's what that control panel does. And then the hydro winders that I showed you earlier to get those dilution rates and everything. I'm gonna be building out a manifold basically off of here. My other unit, that's like a stand-up unit, uses hoses because it's not attached to the wall or anything. And it actually came with hoses on it. But I wanna, because I'm hard mounted, I can be a little bit more rigid about it. So I'm just gonna use PEX, which will still have a little bit of flex to it. But then the fittings that I'm gonna attach with that are these Evo PEX fittings. I started using these for the first time at the car wash. I don't typically use shark bite when I'm remodeling houses or anything. I will crimp or solder. But because everything's exposed in a car wash, you know, I don't see a problem with it. And I don't know why, I also like the look of these Evo PEX fittings. They got kind of a bold look to them. And for me, I guess looks do matter. So let's get into it and build out this manifold. That's one more thing about these fittings is you really don't need many tools other than a PEX cutter like this, and then you've got a green indicator to show that you're seated all the way once it goes in. So on this one, there is no green indicator, but it's my last fitting. See if I can do this one-handed like that, and then you push. There we go, and the green popped right up. So we're ready to go. I could flip that valve now and fill this with water, but I still want to get my soap lines hooked up and check a few things. But other than that, we just have a few more steps and we can start running this. Now I'm here in the control unit for the triple foam, and we're wiring in the different bays. So it's a real simple setup. It's pretty basic. You have bays 1, 2, 3, and 4 plugging in there, coming into this unit. Your power, your neutral, there's a ground, and then there is a little timer here that adjusts the sequence on the color change. But if you're gonna work on a car wash, you got a lot of 24-volt power stuff going on here. And so it's good to have a set of these crimp pliers like this, and a good case full of different terminal plugs and connectors and everything. So that is the last bay to get plugged in there. And tighten that down, and then I'll show you what else has been completed so far on this install. So if I back it up here, we have our air hose, that red hose right there, coming across, and then the yellow wire down here coming across. That's also the power that we just plugged in, and then that comes in over into the main pump stand unit, and you have all your different bays. So we're wired into these terminal blocks. And then the power is coming out of this transformer down here. And that's basically it. Next step's done. Then over here, I'm working on the tie-ins. These will be placed right above each bay, right before the boom. So on one side, we'll have a 3/8 inch outside diameter poly hose. It'll come in here. And then on the other side, we'll have our 1/4 inch poly hose coming on the other side. And ideally, when those combine, they'll have enough agitation going through different fittings and stuff that it'll create a good foam. But if not, then it'll go like this, and there'll be a bushing that'll go in there, and our next push to connect will come in off the top of there and go into the boom. But I'm hoping it'll have good enough foaming action that I'll just be able to come straight off that T, not have to use this. If you look inside of here, there's a toilet brush inside of there, and that'll agitate things up a little bit more. But I don't think we'll need it, and it'll look exactly like this. Okay, this is the home stretch right here. It's really just organizing these hoses up behind me, making them look neat on the wall and everything. So I've got these brackets right here. I could only find this style for the 1/4" hose. I'll show you up close here in a minute how that works. But for the 3/8, I'm gonna go with something like that. It holds 2 hoses as well, and then we'll get them, you know, organized and in a row and everything, so it looks good, and it's just a cleanup process from here. So I'll see you on the other side of that. Now, this part of the project just looks super cool visually, and I'm gonna show you it in real time. I've got red, yellow, and blue product, which is each gonna get siphoned through these vinyl clear hoses over to that unit that we just installed. And at the bottom of each one of those hoses, inside the jug, is what's called a foot valve, which basically prevents the fluid from backfeeding through the hose, creating an air pocket in that hose when the siphoning stops, and then messing up like dilution rates and stuff like that. So each one of these jugs costs under $100, and they go really far because you're alternating between colors, right? But that leads me into pricing and what the project costs in total for everything, which I told you I was gonna talk about more. The unit, obviously it's used, right? So I bought that from a guy out of Indiana, and I also had to pay freight on top of that. Now, if I wouldn't have found a unit that matched up with my Carolina Pride system, that's called Southern Pride, this is Carolina Pride. I believe they merged at some point or something like that. So it really fit together well. If I wouldn't have found that, I probably would have gone with a different system. But this system cost me $2,000. It was $1,500 for the unit, $500 in freight, plus the soaps. The other option I probably would have gone with, and I may do it in the future if I do a different car wash or I'm working on a different system, is the AirLogic system, which is sold on CleanRight. And for the 4-bay system that I would have needed, which is what I also have here, it's like $3,200. But the soaps come with it. So you get a free set of soaps with that unit, and I believe you get free shipping too because you're filling up a whole pallet. And so really, I would have only been paying like another like $1,000 for a brand new system. But I liked how the branding matched up and everything, and it fit together well and everything. So with that said, let's get into this siphoning action here and show you it happen in real time. That happened like super quick. It was hard to catch on camera, but we got a lot of water in there before the chemical hit. So now I'm gonna drain these down, refill them up again, and then we'll be ready to test it. Before we kick this thing on, let's get one last tour of what's going on here. So we got the lines coming up and into the attic. Remember, yellow's on the product side and green is air. I'm still gonna go hunt down some more clips to tie up those hoses and get them a little cleaner, but they're zip tied for now. And then when you get up here and go into the attic itself, I went ahead and got this done already. They pop up into here. Bay 1 is over there. That's bay 0 at the end. I don't have anything in that bay. And then I got bay 2, 3, and 4 over here. You can see everything runs down. And first tie-in is right here. I went ahead and decided to just use the foam generator because it helps a lot as being like some sort of a dampener where you don't get this fluctuation in pressure. It really evens out your pressure so you can get a nice fan. And then we drop down into the bay and we can go in the bay and give it a shot now. Electrical can be a whole lesson in and of itself, but I'll show you quick basically what I did here. So on this rotary switch, this first row is your selection. And then the second row is my high pressure pump. So any function that uses the high pressure pump is tied into that second section. I'm putting the triple foam on the clear coat, and previously the clear coat and the hot wax were basically the same thing. So there's this jumper plate in there. So I pulled out that jumper plate. I put the wire back on the hot wax only. So I've removed high pressure from the clear coat function, which is now the triple foam. And then this tan wire, which is the triple foam, I had a little jumper. This may not make a lot of sense, but that's all right. It's not super important. I had this jumper in here between clear coat and hot wax because they were the same thing. Now what I've done is I pulled in just a new wire. I had these spare wires here, see? I pulled in that new wire, plugged it into the tan. The tan right here goes to the yellow with the red stripe. And that's basically all I needed to do, was just disconnect it from the hot wax and make it independent. And while we're out here, we will give this thing a label, cover up the clear coat, and relabel it triple foam conditioner. All right, now check this out. Flip it over to triple foam right there. Give it a tap.
Authorizing.
There we go. Now I've already dialed in some of our settings in another bay, and this is, I did that off camera just so we didn't take forever. But if you check it out up there, you can see the clear hose, and you can see that foam coming through. Now over here in the gun, it's starting to come through. And that's about the consistency I want to have it, but I would like a little bit more volume. What's really cool though is that, I only have 3 colors, but right here, we're getting about 5 or 6 different colors. So it started at blue, and then blue and yellow makes green, so that's what you get in the middle. And then yellow going over to red, it's kind of making like a pinkish color. And then it gets darker, so it's gradually just changing colors. And I feel like I've got the sequence turned in. So there's kind of like an orange, but I could slow that down, like the changing of the colors, or I could speed it up. But I think I've got it about where I want it. And there's one more adjustment I'm gonna make. Look at this. Okay, there's our colors. So, and then you come back through, add a little yellow in there. It's a really cool rainbow color. I want to get that fan though dialed in a little bit better. So, let's flip this off. Turn off the bay because it's busy today. And we might have someone come in wanting to use that. But here in the equipment room, I'll show you what I'm gonna do to try and dial this up. Now, I'm starting to second guess myself on buying this thing used because I've had to change out a lot of stuff and spent a good amount. But as you can see, there's a little drip from there, and I ended up taking out the regulator right here. So basically, I'm getting full bore out of this pump, and from what you saw in the bay, that wasn't a whole lot. So I'm gonna give this a shot. I've got what's called a flow jet pump. I'm gonna take off this Yamada pump. My guess is the seals kind of dried out and a few things while it was unhooked, and it could have even been going bad already before they uninstalled it and everything. So I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna put it in this flow jet. I looked it up online. This is a 3.5 gallon per minute pump, and this is a 5 gallon pump. So if this flow jet, which is also used, yes, but it's gonna give me a good idea. It should be good. It's got Vuitton seals in it. This should give me a good idea if everything's going, supposed to be working right. And if I need to, I could get even a bigger one. I saw that they have dual flow jet pumps that are 10 gallons per minute, but that's gonna be overkill. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get it done with what I got right here. And I'm gonna put that regulator back in, and this is our next modification, flow jet. We have got our final product set up now. I'll show you out in the bay real quick, but I've got it all dialed in. That flow jet was way better than the old pump that was in there. Obviously the diaphragm or something was bad, because I didn't show you before, but I could really only get about 20 pounds with it wide open. And now I'm running this about 60 pounds. Those foam generators really dampen out that pressure fluctuation that these pneumatic pumps have. And then on the other side, I've got this about 50 pounds. I'll show you out in the bay what that gives us product-wise, but check this out. It's really exactly what I was looking for. So, obviously I've been playing around here with this a little bit. So there's a nice wide fan. Now that we've got loads more volume coming out of that gun, and I can really get the coverage across here. I think the customers are gonna love this, just because it's not gonna take forever to cover the car, but it's really satisfying as it changes color, and you've got that nice wide even pattern with good coverage and the rainbow effect. So there it goes from blue to yellow, and so you get a green in between there. And I'm really happy with the result at the end of this. Anyway, if you enjoy learning about the car wash business and the different equipment and everything in it as well, consider subscribing to my channel, because I enjoy making these videos and showing you guys what I did and how I did it and documenting that process and everything. But just to recap on this triple foam unit that I installed, I did end up replacing a lot more parts than I anticipated on it when I originally bought it. I thought it was in a little bit better shape, but I also like basically installing something and building it out myself. So it's a little bit modified now and everything, just like with that pump system, and doing it that way, just like I did this car wash when I set it up a year ago. I installed the whole thing, and so the concepts and maintenance and repairs is a lot easier now because of that. And something I want to show you real quick on these flow jet pumps is it's actually going to be really nice long term having that flow jet on there now, because all these little ports on here and everything have just like quick connects on them, and so I can swap out a pump really quick. So that little barb fitting there is just this quick connect right here. So I just pop it in like that, and then I just slide up this little tab and click it in there. Same thing for the air connection, and also inlet and outlet. So I'm glad that I made that. I probably would have done that anyways down the road. It's gonna be cheaper running these pumps, and it gives out more volume. Anyway, any other ideas, thoughts about my installation, or any ideas on other equipment that I could install here to make it better, get a better ROI? I think 6 months or less, I'm gonna get my money back on this unit right here. You know, a few $1,000s. It should increase the volume, but even more than that, I think it should increase retention and of customers, or I'll be able to get more customers because of this feature. I think like car guys and stuff will enjoy that colorful satisfaction of you know, all the foam and everything on their car. So with that said, guys, until next video, peace out.